In a victory for Constitution-loving freedom people all over the state of New Mexico and frankly the entire United States, a federal judge has smacked down New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's egregious public health order that tried to ban open and concealed carry of firearms, a right that is guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. The judge had some fairly unkind things to say about the governor's order, and her fellow Democrats in New Mexico had even less kind things to say as far as trying to stand up for this nonsense. What am I talking about? Hang on, folks. We're going to get into all this in just 1 second.
My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk.
On Monday, I did a video about a story that had broken previously on Friday, where New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham had issued a public health order suspending the right to carry firearms in an open or concealed manner for a period of 30 days in the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico. She had done so on the basis of recent gun violence that had happened, where unfortunately several children had been killed due to gunfire. Ever since she issued that public health order, all hell has broken loose in New Mexico. The land of enchantment has been anything but for people who are freedom loving constitutionalists and even her own fellow Democrats. Well, today, things got even worse when a federal judge smacked down her own orders. Let's take a look at a couple of different articles. We're going to go first to the Associated Press. And from there we start. Headline: Judge blocks suspension of right to carry firearms in public, siding against New Mexico governor. Article written by Suzanne Montoya Bryan. A federal judge has blocked part of a public health order that suspended the right to carry guns in public across New Mexico's largest metro area, with criticism mounting and political divides widening over the Democrat governor's actions. The ruling Wednesday by U.S. Judge David Urias marks a setback for Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. The second-term governor imposed an emergency health order Friday that suspended the right to openly carry or conceal guns in public places based on a statistical threshold for violent crime that applied only to Albuquerque and the surrounding area. She cited recent shootings around the state that left children dead, saying something needed to be done. Urias, who was appointed to the federal bench by President Joe Biden, agreed Wednesday with plaintiffs who have accused Lujan Grisham of trampling on constitutional rights. Urias granted a temporary restraining order to block the governor's suspension of gun rights until another hearing is held in early October. Reading a little further into the article, Urias said he doesn't blame Lujan Grisham for trying to do something, quote, in the face of these terrible deaths, but his duty is to decide a much more narrow question regarding the rights afforded under the U.S. Constitution. The governor, in a statement issued Wednesday, said she would not be resigned to the status quo. Quote, I see the pain of families who have lost their loved ones to gun violence every single day, and I will never stop fighting to prevent other families from enduring these tragedies, she said, although she acknowledged previously that criminals likely would ignore her order. Lujan Grisham also pledged to increase state police presence in Bernalillo County and focus on arresting those with outstanding warrants. She also said she would direct the healthcare system to expand capacity to deal with drug addiction and homelessness. Okay, all I got to do is say this. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for the good guys. We've got a federal judge and a Biden appointee, no less, who realizes, no, you can't use a public health order to suspend constitutional rights. Funny, I wish a lot of other judges would have come to that conclusion about another something that happened in America 3 years ago. Oh, wait, I digress. I shouldn't even go into that subject, but I think you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, Let's go take a look at another article, and I found this one to be even more revealing because of just some of the things this governor said in response to what's going on and the judge's order. We're going to go to an article from abcnews.com. I guess they're on the go website. And this one's fairly interesting as well. Take a look at this. Judge temporarily blocks New Mexico governor's order suspending right to carry firearms in public. Lujan Grisham told GMA3 she has the courage to take a stand. Oh, she's teeing it up for me. She's just teeing it up. She's putting the ball on the tee, and she's saying, how far can you put it down the fairway? Watch this. All right, let's get into this article. A federal judge granted a temporary restraining order against New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's order suspending the right to carry firearms in public. Going a little further into the article, the ruling cited that the governor's order directly conflicted with the Second Amendment, according to state leader Greg Braca, who applauded the judge's ruling. The governor's malfeasance and utter disregard for the Constitution is alarming, Baca said in a statement. We hope this ruling and the vast backlash this order sends a clear message to the governor and her allies. The people have had enough. We will not stand by idly and allow our freedoms and rights to be eroded. Good boy. Some law enforcement officials and elected leaders also pushed back against the governor's order. Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen said on Monday his office would not enforce the ban. Two state Republican representatives, John Block and Stephanie Lord, are calling for the governor to be impeached over her orders. In announcing her order, Lujan Grisham acknowledged it would face immediate challenges over constitutional rights. In a statement following Wednesday's ruling, she said the judge temporarily blocked sections of her public health order but recognized the significant problems of gun violence in this state. Quote, I refuse to be resigned to the status quo, she said. As governor, I see the pain of families who've lost their loved ones to gun violence every single day, and I will never stop fighting to prevent other families from enduring these tragedies. The governor told GMA3 early Wednesday that she has the, quote, courage to take a stand over gun violence in response to the backlash over her public health order. Okay, hang on just a minute, lady. Why is it that for you it's an act of courage to do what you did, which implies that if people don't agree with you, they're being cowards? Why can't you be just as courageous by saying, look, why don't we recognize that individuals have a right, a naturally divine right of self-defense, and why not educate the public as to how to properly use a firearm, properly own a firearm, and let them be able to defend themselves? Why is courage defined in a liberal taking a stand for a liberal position? Explain that to me, Governor Grisham. I'd really love to hear your answer to that one. I have the courage to take on this issue. No, you have the courage to try and grandstand like any progressive liberal Democrat of your ilk. That's what you have the courage to do. Please, get off your soapbox. But let's go a little further into this article, now that I've got on my soapbox. Everyone is terrified of the backlash for all of these political reactions, Lujan Grisham told Eva Pilgrim of GMA3 Wednesday. None of these individuals or groups focused on the actual injuries or deaths of the public. That's a load of hooey. They aren't dealing with this as the crisis that it is, she continued. What crisis? Governor, people unfortunately die because of firearms all the time. The only crisis that's involved here is a crisis because of the person who's pulling the trigger. I am not trying to minimize the death of anyone who's died because of gun violence, but you're making this about something that it is not. You're trying to conflate two different things, and you're just like every other sneaky Democrat on this score. You're trying to sneak the trampling of constitutional rights in behind a concern over public health and the children, and we've got to do something, and it's a crisis. Everything with you guys is a crisis. Good grief. Moving on. The governor cited the recent shooting deaths of 3 children, including an 11-year-old boy gunned down outside a minor league ballpark last week, in issuing the temporary ban. The decree came a day after Lujan Grisham declared gun violence a state public health emergency, saying, quote, the rate of gun deaths in New Mexico increased 43% Between 2009 and 2018, gun violence is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 19 in Mexico, she said. I'd like to know what she bases that statistic on. Quote, how would you feel in a city or community if people had handguns in their belts on parks, near schools, on public trails, at the grocery store? Lujan told GMA3. Well, probably pretty secure because an armed society is a polite society, but that's just me. It's outrageous and it must stop, and I will keep doing everything that's based on science and in fact and public safety efforts to clean up our cities to make this the safest state in America, and I will not stop until that is done. New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres, a fellow Democrat, has said he will not defend the state in the lawsuits regarding the public health emergency order, stating in a letter he does not believe the order would have any meaningful impact on public safety. Amen, brother. When asked what she would say in response, Lujan Grisham told GMA she would have the same response for other individuals. Quote, I hope that the public's response is if we now have elected leaders have the courage to stand up for children. Oh, jeez, God. I don't know why we're electing individuals who aren't going to stand up for the people who need us to make sure they're safe and protected. Well, Governor, I've got some comments about that. I just love it. I don't know why we're electing individuals who aren't going to stand up for the people who need us to make sure they're safe and protected. That's right, Governor. We should be electing politicians who do stand up for the people and recognize their rights, liberties, and freedoms. Rights, liberties, and freedoms that you and no other politician in America, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care who it is, you don't have the right to infringe upon God-given freedoms, and the right of self-defense is one of them. That's the kind of politicians we should be electing. You don't understand why we're electing individuals aren't standing up for people's rights? There's one. You want to make sure they're safe and protected? Give the people of your state the right to carry firearms and let them do it as freely as possible. And for individuals who abuse the right and the privilege of owning a firearm, for the fact that they commit murder, not because they own the gun, let me clarify this, punish that individual, but do not take away freedom from people. Even your own fellow Democrats, Governor Grisham, recognize that your order is so over the top they will not defend it. Your own Attorney General, a fellow Democrat, is trying to tell you it won't have any impact, but yet you're going to do it anyway. And you're going to keep pushing it. And worse yet, if anybody thinks this stops with New Mexico, forget it. Don't be surprised if somewhere down the line, if the Wicked Witch of the Midwest, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, tries something like this, or Kathy Hochul, the Wicked Witch of the North, up there in New York does it, or if old Governor Slick out in California, Gavin Newsom, tries the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they start pushing the issue and trying to make gun control a public health issue. So keep your eyes on this one. But for today, the good guys win. So yeah, let's celebrate. And as we celebrate, please do me some favors as always. Number 1, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please do so. Number 2, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know what you think about this issue. Number 3, please share the video around. Number 4, hit the bell for notifications. I always want to make sure you're always aware when new material is coming out. And number 5, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your Front Porch Conservative, and I'll see you next time.